I like your tripod.
Like when you take
Yeah.
somebody else doing it, that's really nice, because normally you rest it on the desk, but I like that.
No, you could, multifunctional. Assalamu alaikum, good evening everyone, hope you're well. We're just about to go live on air in the next 30 seconds. So today's show is all going to be dedicated to the economy, to protecting our jobs, and also to allay any fear that you may have with regards to the jobs and your employment as well. And I have an expert in this field, Brother Zafran, who's going to help me navigate this show. So we've got about 10 seconds which we're going to just enjoy the tunes and the dulcet tones of Zafran Khan. Awaaz Khan, thank you as always. Thank you for being so flexible. Really appreciate it. Hope you're well. And a great show on Sunday with Ninda Johal as well. So keep up the great work. And obviously you must have heard of the announcement today by the government to pull the rug out of the feet of the Huawei. So again, I don't know where that leaves 5G, but nonetheless, that's a topic for another day. So good evening, my name is Ali. Welcome to the evening of Tuesday the 14th of July to the Community Wellbeing Show, and today we are dedicating the show to the economy, to the jobs that are under threat and that have already been announced that are going to be laid off. So there's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of fear around people's, not only the long term, but definitely in the short term future as well. So I have today Brother Zafran, who's going to be help me talk about this particular topic, and also add a bit of expertise and also a bit of nuance and to what is going on as well. We are going to talk big first. We're going to talk about the government and what the announcement is, and then bring that down to regional and Birmingham as well. As you know, the flagship store that we have of John Lewis is in Birmingham. In the Grand Central has announced that it's going to close. So a lot of fear, a lot of uncertainty that's happening both locally and nationally as well, and people are fearful, not only in terms of the health impact of COVID, but now in terms of their economic prospects as well. So first of all, Brother Zafran, welcome to the humble studios of Radio Aap, Awaaz, and also to the Community Wellbeing Show. Before we actually come into the topic, I want you to sort of briefly just give a bit of background to yourself. Not everyone may be familiar about who you are, and also about the federation that you're associated with and you're representing.
Assalamu alaikum and wa alaikum salam, Brother Ali. Thanks for inviting me, and all to the assalamu alaikum to and hello to all of the viewers, listeners on the radio. First of all, I've already been following you on Tuesdays. If I wasn't doing anything, so I'll watch. And you bring out some very good topics, especially in these sort of crazy times, I call it. The COVID and the pandemic that's affected everybody across the globe. But yeah, so I mean, myself, my background is 28 years working in the businesses industry. Coming from the sales background, working for the corporate companies, and then sort of stepping and working as a freelance, working in the business to consumer and then business to business. Last 2 years I've been a member myself, with the FSB, and
FSB, sorry,
which is Federation of Small Businesses. And I'm based in Birmingham.
Yes.
So I look after Birmingham, and then we have development managers team also who do the outside work in Birmingham. So there's collective of the lot of team that we are associated with.
Sorry, you carry on. Yeah, okay, so fantastic. So you're the perfect person to give us a bit of insight as to what is going on. So first of all, I think in terms of, when COVID was announced, the lockdown was asked to be enforced within UK. A lot of people were asked to stay at home, and the government were true to their word, and they provided, I think, a great support package for employers and for those that were self-employed as well. So, you know, for those of us that take a keen eye on what's going on. Approximately 1 million businesses that were employing approximately 8.4 million staff were actually total furlough. So what does that mean is that the government was paying 80% of their wages up to a maximum of £2,500 per month. And this was costing the government £15 billion. And as you know, the government doesn't have an endless pot of money. This was actually borrowed. So, you know, for me, I think that took a lot of tension away from employers and those that were actually furloughed and self-employed, because they could then concentrate on their kids, on the elderly, the vulnerable that were affected health-wise with regards to COVID. But now that we sort of see that the lockdown is easing, a lot of employers now, especially last week, we had John Lewis, we had Harrods, we had TM Lewin, we had Burger King, a whole host of businesses announcing thousands upon thousands of jobs. And we all know that it is the employers' staff wages that contribute to most of the businesses' outgoings. So when you heard some of these noises initially about the amount of job losses that were announced, you know, someone that was in that, were you surprised, or were you sort of taken back by the fact that, you know, so soon, so suddenly announcement was made about these thousands of job losses?
COVID-19 in itself surprised everybody.
Yeah,
first of all, especially you know yourself, Ali, that you know when you are start the year, everybody does a forecast.
Absolutely.
A lot of businesses depend on each businesses how they business terms operates when it comes to account. Some do from January to December when it comes to the accounts. So they had a lot of things in place that how they're going to do well in terms. And then you had a lot of startup businesses as well. So this is the area that I'm familiar with, which I'm talking about. So a lot of startup businesses,
yeah.
And then come quarter into the year, come March, and then everything just coming to a collapse, going into the lockdown. That does take a lot of diverse effect. First of all, you're looking at that side, and then is what you mentioned,
yeah.
Like the big stores, like John Lewis, the Harrods and Tom Lewin, all of these has an impact, because people who are employed, okay, they're going to have a setback.
Yes.
Okay,
yes. Yep.
And on top of that, you've got businesses that are struggling as well. So all of that happening on top of what's already going on, it is affecting, and to move forward, it will take a bit of time now to obviously go into that transition.
I just want to question the timing. When you have Airbus, you have EasyJet, you have Nissan, Royal Mail. I could understand possibly maybe at the start of lockdown that saying, look, we aren't able to pay even the 20%, or we can't sustain this. We've seen a huge reduction in our sales, but the fact that now the announcement is being made for people to go out, as Boris Johnson even today said, go shop, build, buy. For me, it's quite strange, and maybe even perverse, really, that they've sort of benefited for 3 to 4 months of the government support, and now when things are slightly easing, and I would say maybe the timing when next month some of these employers will start contributing in terms of their contributions towards the wages, they've announced these job losses.
I think what you've got to take into consideration is, yes, that is affecting, and that is shocking everyone. But I'm also looking at it from the positive perspective wise. Even just say, for example, pandemic didn't happen.
Yes.
I think the stores were still struggling, like John Lee. So yes, because of what's happened and how it's happened, it's like putting everything into one basket, and you're thinking, gosh, this is going to spill now, because everything is all the big major stores and airplane flights, all of those. Then you think to yourself, well, where do we go? Because of how is it wise? Yeah, it's tough times ahead.
So when you say businesses are struggling, I mean, I've heard two sides of the same coin, where some businesses, those that were maybe online and they're being sort of innovative and adaptive, they've said that we've never been as busy. But those businesses that are in a city centre, for example, where their sort of overheads are fixed, where the footfall was reduced, those are really struggling. So I think we got to sort of make a clear point that some businesses are really thriving, others are struggling, such as John Lewis's, such as other big retail store where they've got huge outgoings.
What's actually happened there is businesses that have got online stores, they're great because they, as soon as the lockdown happened, they know that no one's going to walk in, so they've transited all the way to online. Where they were before, you had some online shoppers and some. There's nothing better than walking into the stores and have a tangible product there. It's all about touch and feel and
absolutely.
Try. So even myself wasn't great at online shopping because I thought instead of sitting and doing, I'd rather go window shopping, shop in, shop out. So a lot of businesses that have got online thing straight away, they've just switched over and they're really busy because they're moving time. Those businesses which didn't do that much with the online side, they've struggled because you have to now move with time and you have to upgrade your online side to it as well. So it did have a lot of diversity, and especially when you have beautiful stores, famous stores, but because everybody's locked down, they can't go, so there's nothing open outside. So where do they go? Online. So those facilitate the online side. That's where they went. So that's why you'll get two sides of the coin.
And I must say, before the whole COVID, there were certain people that weren't engaging on the online, as you mentioned, that maybe people like the experience of shopping, other people that maybe not be digital savvy. I'm talking about maybe the elderly, maybe people with sort of language difficulties. But one thing that has certainly ensured as a result of COVID is that a lot of people are really embracing digital sort of capability now, and you see obviously through our work we're obviously utilizing Zoom and Teams, but a lot of people are using Amazon and their online stores as well, and certainly a lot more people are now comfortable with the whole online experience.
Before that, everybody, I say majority of people had personal digital platforms. And then when this happened, like myself and yourself, we are used to networking up and down the country, and it's all face-to-face exposure, and there's nothing better than face-to-face exposure. And your company, my company, they've all straight away did a very fast shift straight onto Zoom. So we were quite familiar with that because we already used digital platform for our work. Absolutely. We might not have used it as before as we should have, but now we're using it. 90 to 100%, on a daily basis. So then you had all the kids home as well. The schools come out. And what happens when you're at home? You're not doing that much. It's like online, restaurants eating. So you got your Uber Eats and you got, you got all that. They went straight fast. Especially when they said, takeaways can open, restaurants to close. And you got all of that happening. And then those people who are comfortable of spending, they just, so they, you're sitting at home, you might as well, surf on the internet before you know it. They're buying all of these things because they also put some certain, offers in place as well. So it gives you impulse buying, and that's what's happened.
Talking about Uber Eats and some of these, online delivery services, I know a friend of mine who owns a restaurant, and he was saying he had a order for one of these sort of online apps, and literally the person lived about 2 minutes away from his restaurant, and he was asked to go and deliver it, and he was obviously willing to pay the delivery charge as well. And he was saying, I didn't even take my car. He goes, I walked it. Literally took me about 90 seconds to get to his house. But this is the advantage of people sort of utilizing the online experience as well. So we talked a bit about obviously the job losses as well, and obviously one or two people have already mentioned, Jazbia, who said that she is at risk of redundancy, and there's a real fear. People sometimes forget that these thousands upon thousands of job losses that have been announced, these aren't figures. There's a face behind it, there's a name behind it, there's a family behind it. So it has a real deep, meaningful impact on individuals and the confidence throughout. Then, so if I hear of someone who's going to be losing their job, who've lost their job, then I would probably think carefully about the amount of money that I spend, thinking that if it's happened to them, it may not be too far for it to happen to me. So I think sometimes you want to encourage people to go out and buy and shop, and confidence is key. It's a big C word, but confidence, the economy, retailers, employers need.
I say, confidence you're battling confidence on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Not confidence because you want to go on a stage and you do things, and it's a shyness confidence, but confidence in everything, because when you're working and you think to yourself, I've been with the company or organisation for a very long time, I think my job is secure in terms of the delivery of the workers that they're doing, and you think to yourself, well, I've been here 20 years, everything is, but it's not now.
Absolutely.
There's nothing is said, because what we don't know is what happened closed doors.
Sure.
We're looking at it the year, production is moving fast, everything, we get customers coming in, but the directors and others, when they look at, when you look at their accounts and and you think to yourself, well, how on earth are we struggling? So I can feel the sentiment for them. I'm going to go through some statistics that I've got.
Please, okay.
As you would do. So even though we've got, on the one side, we've got job losses in terms of employees aspect, people who've been working at Burger King, people who've been working at John Lewis and these sort of stores going to be made redundant because they're going to close.
Yeah.
Okay, they're going to streamline their staff because they're going to go online. Okay, so online is only with the logistics side of it that they'll need. But now you've also got businesses out there, normal business, small, medium enterprise businesses, who are also, 4 in 5 already being affected and closing as well. So in a while I'll go through those statistics.
Yeah, please.
But I'm going to narrow it down to our West Midlands.
Please, that'd be great.
Because you're looking at the whole of the UK perspective of what's happening, but we're going to look at it, what's happening in our West Midlands.
No, that'd be great.
And this survey that I'll go through is a survey that we conducted, FSB, through our members. Now, we are, as a lobbying organisation, we lobby quite a lot, especially when that package was taken in place, and we have a strong seat at the Westminster. So we lobby for small businesses and medium businesses.
Interesting.
And because we come with 200,000 business from every sector you can think of, and that's combined with small, medium enterprise, successful entrepreneurs who have 2 or 3 businesses with self-employed. And what you find with the self-employed is the difference between self-employed and employee is that when a self-employed guy is working for himself, if he's ill or anything happens, his income stops. It might stop for a day, might stop for a week or a month. But with the employees, they have a system in place. So if they are sick, they go on a sick pay, but there's a residual income that's coming in. So the FSB worked tirelessly behind the scene. We lobbied quite a lot because there's 4.7 million self-employed. Wow. Now, Ali, 4.7 million self-employed contribute significant amount to the economy. In billions. I mean, I ain't got the exact figure, but it's in billions. So what about them? So when we got the furlough scheme, we then went back and said, well, no, there's self-employed out there. And you know yourself, people said it to me, yourself, the self-employed, it's not enough. We can do what we did, but the great thing is, government listened. Regardless which government is, we do the same lobby on a daily basis. Normally it's about the business rates. That's the biggest agenda that we tackle. So we worked tirelessly hard there, had that in place, and then we did the survey, to all of our members. And you tell us, and some non-members who actually participated in the survey, because of what's your perception, and then those are the figures that then we compiled, which I'll go through. So
interesting. So for those of you just joining in, we have Brother Zafran from the Federation of Small Businesses coming here talking about the huge job losses that have been announced recently. People are really fearful of their jobs. John Lewis, EasyJet, Airbus, Harrods, TM Lewin, just to name a few of the real big names. But we are going to focus on the small businesses, SMEs that are sort of more in the inner city areas as well, across the Birmingham and the West Midlands as well. So please tune in. We have a huge number of people that are watching with great expertise. We have my brother Safraz Ali, part of the Pathway Group. We have Zafran Khan. We have also Fiaz as well, from the Birmingham's, the business sort of side of things. Barclays business side of things as well. So we've got huge experience online. If you want to get in touch, the number is 0121 682 9735. Brother Zafran is here certainly to, if you want to talk to him, or if you want to ask him any questions, he's more than happy to take those on as well. Alternatively, if you want to simply type a message for Zafran, we are more than happy to read that out as well. So just sort of echo the earlier point, from Brother Shiraz, was people are really worried about the future of employment in this city here as well. And one of the things that You know, last week when the flagship store was announced that it's going to be closed, a number of people were saying that, you know, the fact that, you know, we have to pay to park in the city centre, you've got the clean air zone sort of levy coming in sort of early next year, the fact it's not easy to sort of go in there, you've got to wear a face mask now shortly as well. So it's not exactly, you know, we're not making it enticing or easy for people to go into the city centre and shop as well. So that doesn't help. So can maybe the Birmingham Chamber of Commerce, maybe your particular federation, city council, you've also got the LEP, West Midlands Local Enterprise, whether these guys can come together and make it easier for short term, you know, until maybe the end of the year.
That's again, going on that, you know,
okay.
we should have done, I mean, before the pandemic happened, everything, the clear emission zone is what we were lobbying for, and we've been lobbying, and then on top of that, pandemic happened, so these things. But with that, what's happened is, because don't forget, we got members who operate in the city centre.
Yeah.
We've got self-employed.
Sure.
So it's not just affecting from the business perspective, it's affecting everybody.
Yes.
Because, you know, with the emissions, then it gives, you're going back to the big C, confidence. Some people, you know, losing confidence. I'm not going to go into the city centre shop. I'm not going to go to my local shopping centres, like you got Touchwood shopping centres, you got the Fort, you know, where you park, go and do the same old, and then you got other, you know, business park, you know, retail parks elsewhere. People have a day out. So all that was happening. So we were really campaigning, and we still are, you know, campaigning for that, you know, because someone who's like a Sparky, like a plumber, he's got his van, and he's not fitting the criteria.
Sure.
He has to go and buy. Again, it all comes down to finances.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's in fact, and then people are saying, all right, it's a great way, healthy way of living to move, you know, and travel to city centre. But then the bus fares are going to go up. So it's all back to that, you know, big C that you mentioned, you know, earlier on. So yeah, he has, you know, a really dive it. So these are, I mean, Birmingham Chambers and others are also doing fantastic. We really don't know the insight to that, but only can answer for ours. And yeah, you know, everybody is collaborating. Everybody is working together to, you know, to have something in place to take that worry out of people, because worrying what does is affects the well-being.
Absolutely.
And then he's going back to the couple of programs he did before on mental health. That's a very big issue. So you know, it's all in the air, and everything. It's like, you know, you got arrows coming from, you know, and you say to yourself, which one do I need to dodge?
And which one will actually eventually be the one that will be the final nail. I talked about mental health. We had Brother Shabraz here talking about, you know, mental health during COVID last week, and it just shows that, you know, it's still a bit of a taboo subject and people don't acknowledge it. So I think we just need to be mindful that there's a lot of uncertain factors that do take its toll. So, you know, since COVID, the economy has nosedived by 25%. You know, by any stretch of imagination, that's just huge. You know, for any business or, you know, the GDP to go down by 25%. The May's figures are that it has gone up by 1.8%, certainly within retail, construction, and manufacturing. But that's still nowhere near enough. You know, but what we have seen is, you know, those small, independent, maybe family businesses who seem to give that sort of unique sort of, you know, experience and are sort of tailoring their service or their products to the family or to the individual. Those are sort of thriving. What's your thoughts about, you know, some people are saying, oh no, this is, you know, it's not as bad as what the government make out to be. You're in there. Is it really that bad, or are people just really
I mean, I'm going to give the true facts and figures, because I like to get, you know, because I look at the audience, you're going to get the negative ones. So you've got to feel that we have negative, that's going to hurt, but unfortunately, you know, that's how it is. But then you got the positive as well. So we tend to focus more on the negative, because that news travels faster. Not, you know, people are active on Facebook. They're active on Instagram, WhatsApp, and you know, sometimes you put, you know, something out, and the same thing comes back to you after within 24 hours, and it's gone, you know, in billions. So you're gonna get those negative news, and that's what worries me, because then people are thinking, well, I just heard somebody say one thing, I've read on one thing. Sorry,
Zafran, I think we've got a call. Hello, welcome to the studios of Radio Aap. Awaaz, can you introduce yourself and make your point, please?
Yeah, good evening. My name is Charles Javed, and I'm calling you all the way from sunny Scotland.
Oh wow, fair play to you, Javed. How are you? Oh, is he? Oh wow.
30 years.
Yeah, Javed. Do you want to make a point, or do you want to talk to Brother Zafran here?
I just want to reiterate something. Although I'm from Scotland, I do visit Birmingham and the West Midlands regularly. And one thing I want to make view to Farhan and the listeners is that Birmingham, as far as I knew, in the early 1900s, was a metropolis of a heavy industry, motor engineering, etc. All over the world they supplied cars. You had the raw materials, the logistics and everything there. Now that all disappeared just after the 1970s as well as the 1980s. And I know that Birmingham has still the manpower, the opportunity, the people are there. And I think that within our own ethnic community, the BM ethnic people, they can all get together at this moment in time, this pandemic that we're having, as an excellent opportunity where some businesses are closing down, that they could be taking over their businesses. And I hope that Zafran, through the FSP, through the Chambers of Commerce, etc., can unite some of these people together to come together and not fight a lonely battle of entrepreneurship, but join together and excel in the opportunity, disrupt the community, and take it further and be a landmark to the rest of the UK. Thank you.
That's a great point. Thank you, Brother Javed. So I think you got the gist of it, but just for those of you that may not be able to hear what Brother Javed was saying all the way from Scotland, is the fact that, within Birmingham, West Midlands, we have a huge automobile industry, and obviously that's been decimated over the decades. But, with the entrepreneurship skills and the innovation within the South Asian community, whatever void that there is, by working collectively, certainly we can sort of fill that void.
Definitely. I mean, what Brother Khalid Javed said from Glasgow. By the way, he's one of the top accountants in Glasgow, in Scotland. So he's going back. But he's been a member of the FSB for 30 years, and he's someone. I did one of my programs early in the lockdown. Actually, okay, I've been with the organisation 2 years, but when you have somebody who's been there 30 years, and he's seen it and some of the things that he got, things he's lobbied for, and he's a very successful accountant, because he owns a big accountant's firm, but he's also someone who actually worked at the restaurant, so he actually started from the bottom, gone to the top. And sometimes you follow him on the Facebook, he doesn't forget his roots. So he's a well-respected community man, and what he said, he's right, because at the moment we did a roadmap recovery today, webinar, FSB webinar. We had Ninda, Joe Howe, yes, and we had a few other entrepreneurs, and somebody like Ninda, Joe Howe, when it comes to the Black country, everybody knows him. In terms from his 60 walk brands, but from early in his music days, being part of the Achanat and so forth. But he's done really well. So we have very good community, top entrepreneurs. Yes. And then we got FSB, ourselves organisation, Birmingham Chambers of Commerce. We are at the stage where everybody's collaborating together, because it's not about company, it's about the people. We as an organisation, FSB, we care. There's 5.7 million small, medium enterprises, and there's 4.7 million in the self-employed. Yes. So we're not just here, we got 200,000 members, and that's it. We care for everybody, because everybody's sentiment is the same. So,
sorry to interlude here, but can I just sort of come in, and the thing that came to my mind was obviously the recent case in Leicester, which brought about the lockdown, where some unscrupulous employers were forcing their the vulnerable should we say employees to work during COVID, and some of them even showed some symptoms of coronavirus, and they were still asked to come in, otherwise they were threatened with the sack. I suppose in some ways as well, we need FSB to also look at those people that will take advantage of their workforce as well, and make sure that we don't have a lockdown similar to Leicester and maybe one or two cities in Yorkshire as well.
Those kind of incidents, we have to be sensible in everything we do. Yes, and I say that you can't fix whole of the community. If you fix yourself within your surroundings, within your boundaries, and of having whatever the measurements are, you have to. Yes, we're not used to this in history. We haven't been used to this. So it's that mindset. It's embracing that in and going forward with it. And those companies and organisations are doing that. It's absolutely total wrong, because that's not the way it has been forced. Because the government made those restrictions in. It's there for a reason, and we have to play our part as well, and not blame everything.
No, most definitely.
Because coronavirus is there. It's a virus. It can be tackled if we are sensible, and we have to change ourselves a way of going forward.
Well, Brother Zafran, we've come through to the halfway of the show. So it's been a great sort of first half. I think we're going to really sort of kick on in the next half. We're going to ask you to maybe share the local data within West Midlands. If you are a employee that you are worried about your job, please let us know a bit more about what you're feeling and what the immediate future holds for you. Are they, at the same time, there may be job losses, are there also job opportunities as well? Please, if you are in that sort of situation, please let us know. Just give us an insight at the same time. What does it feel like? If you're an employer, how have you adapted? How have you adapted to the coronavirus? What does that mean in terms of the investment that you had to make sure that you were safe for your employees and also for your customers as well? And what do you think? I know a lot of some of the big retail stores and businesses that we talked about, they are responsible to their shareholders. But yourselves, what are you concerned about? We're just going to play a quick ad break if we can, and then we'll come back shortly. But in the meantime, if you want to come, please, the number is 0121 682 9735. Walaikum salam. Thank you, everyone. Sorry, I'm not able to give walaikum salam to everyone, but all of you, thank you for keeping us in your prayers, and a lot of love coming out for yourself as well, brother Zafran as well. Just to Zafran, how are you, brother? So Yasser Malik, Forex GBP, I think, yeah. So walaikum salam.
Walaikum salam, brother. How are you? You okay?
I'm just going to read out a few now. So Amjad Mirza, walaikum salam. Huram Rana, Mirza Saab, Abdul Hafiz, Jaz Abid Khan, Pops Salam Hussain, walaikum salam. Altaf Hussain, walaikum salam. Safraz, walaikum salam. Hadim Gujjar, Muhammad Fiaz, walaikum salam. Raja Ayaz Khan, walaikum salam. Ifi Gujjar, walaikum salam. Shidad Khilji, walaikum salam. Nadeem, walaikum salam. Usman Royal Limos, how are you? Okay. Zaid Tufail, yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you for your watching. Habib Abdul Malik, thank you, sir. Mukhtarim Shah, walaikum salam. Zafran is the best person in the kingdom. Yes, I don't disagree, but I'll just take that with a pinch of salt. I don't want his head getting too big so he can't leave the studio. So
everybody's in a bit.
I think you've got a fan group certainly there building up, Brother Zafran. So I think we'll spend the next half now just talking a bit more locally as well.
Yeah, locally, because I've got some statistics.
Oh, please, share those.
So all day, so what I've been doing is in the office.
Oh, fantastic.
Conducting all of that, because I think now that what we build them up, they want to know what's, because people not care about London or we all care. What's it? So when I went back to the team, I says, don't give me like a forecast overall percentage. Yeah. UK wide is that percentage, but what was this? I says, just give me those. So I made them work, and I could just give me the whole of the West Midlands. Good. And in that we got all our inner cities are all in part of that percentage. Yeah.
Salam, walaikum salam, Alina. Thank you very well. Thank you. Interesting topic. Thank you. And what Brother Zafran has done is he's actually done a bit of research, or his team have, and he's going to share what the prospects look like for the West Midlands short term as well. And that'll be interesting because, like I said, we all have a vested interest in the economy. Whether you're self-employed, whether you're employed, we want to kickstart the economy. We want to kickstart the jobs ASAP. So we're just ad break at the moment. So just bear with us. We've got another about 30 seconds or so before we come back from our quick break, and Brother Zafran will be giving us some local data. In the meantime, if you want to share your experience of what you've done to make sure that you're ready now for the post-lockdown era, let us know. And the last thing anyone wants is a second peak. That is going to just really devastate everything and put us back to square one. So I think we have to be careful, mindful that please continue to maintain social distance. Please continue to wash your hands. Please continue to wear a face covering, which is going to be mandatory, compulsory, certainly in offices and shops, and where there's going to be a huge congregation indoors from the 24th anyway. So without getting political, at the same time, we've seen the easing of lockdown, but at the same time, certainly the mixed messages around the face covering has been, I say, a lot to be desired now. Before, they were saying there's no need, the evidence was weak. Then they were saying, look, it's a guidance. Now it's mandatory as well, with a fine of up to £100 as well if you don't wear it in those retail stores. Hello and welcome to the Community Wellbeing Show, and today's show is dedicated to the economy and the job prospects, certainly here within the West Midlands. And to help me add a bit of light and context, I have Brother Zaf, do you get called Zaf or Zaf? Yeah, Brother Zaf, who is a business consultant for the Federation of Small Businesses. So the first half an hour we've talked about obviously the economy, the government's furlough and the support package for small businesses as well, and the amount of economy that has no-dived and what we can do to sort of kickstart. It's certainly around the huge job losses. We've got to sort of now bring that down to Birmingham and the West Midlands, and Zaf has got certainly some pertinent data for our region. So over to you, Zaf.
Okay, I mean, for the viewers and the listeners on Facebook and on the radio, some of the statistics that I'm going to talk about, okay, is that we had 5,000 members who actually did the survey, which combined between members and non-members,
sure,
through our website and through the members that we liaise with. Obviously, there's a lot who didn't, which is understandable.
Yeah.
So out of those 5,000, what's happened is our development team for the Birmingham, Black Country and Staffordshire actually narrowed it down to obviously bring it down to West Midlands to make it more easier. Yeah. So the survey of over 400 West Midlands firms that lay bare the impact of coronavirus pandemic. Okay, now 1 in 3 small employers consider redundancies, something that we were talking about earlier, as they struggle to pay bills, shelve exports, pause product and development. So 1 in 3, are struggling at this stage. Okay, and then you have over 27% struggling with rent mortgage payments. Okay. So that's the biggest, that's what we wake up for, because that's what we work for. Now for those small businesses which paying a mortgage or lease on their premises, over a quarter, 27% in the West Midlands have failed to make.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And this is all going through the survey that they answered, okay. And they face severe difficulties in making a rent or mortgage repayment as a result of pandemic economic impact. Now the UK percentage on that, on the collective, is 28%.
Okay, so we're roughly there or thereabouts.
Thereabouts.
Yeah.
Again, Birmingham West Midlands being the second largest, so we are gonna get that big impact on that. Now the product development plan show exports. Okay, so you got 21% of small businesses in the West Midlands that have had to show product development plans. 28% is a UK wide, but 21% among exporters and 17% in the West Midlands say that they have either to reduce or cancel international sales. Oh, wow. So these are like people in the export world who do import and exports. So we've got to take, because we do export a lot out, but we also import a lot from different countries as well. And then, like I said, 1 in 3 that considering redundancies, in the response to strain being placed on them, more than 1 in 3, which is now at 37%, is in the West Midlands of small employers are considered or having made redundancy. And you've got and that percentage, 37, is also stands at the whole of the UK. Sure. So that is collectively with West Midlands and the UK in itself. 7 in 10 staff across the West Midlands in every business have been furloughed.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So 7 in 10. So that makes up the percentage in the West Midlands that makes up is 69% in the West Midlands. So small employers had to furlough staff to aid the survival of their business.
Yes.
Illustrating the extent in which the job retention scheme has protected the livelihoods of millions of economic. So I can just go back. Imagine now.
Yes.
If we didn't have the furlough scheme in place.
Wow.
I mean, looking at it, flip the coin on the other side. The impact on that would be
just
major.
We don't even imagine that, do we?
But at least they got 80% of their wages is better than having zero. So 77% that asked for ability or partly fellow workers. So initial efforts were made. So in the economy back, so the 3/4, which is in 75% in the West Midlands, and the 70% as a UK wide. Those businesses say that the ability partially furlough workers would benefit them. So this says that by putting in a furlough, it actually benefited them. Sure. Of these, 49% were in the West Midlands, and then you got 50% as a UK wide. Say they want to bring staff back, but they want to bring it back gradually. and 31% in the West Midlands stands, and 31%, again the same percentage stands as a collective, as a whole UK, would keep the business viable, but they'll slowly bring their staff back into work. Okay, we also had, some fantastic ones where they says, oh, it's been a great one. I mean, you were mentioning someone who's close to me, close to you. Yeah. I've had a few others, says, you know what, I don't want to go back to work. 80%, I can live with that. Chilling at home, doing the things he wouldn't have got to done. Great. Now, we also had 8% of people that applied for universal credit because of, now, again, I'm going back, start of the year, or 6, 7, 8, 10 months before, or within 12 months, you had a lot of people who became self-employed, because sometimes, when we take, well, like myself, 2 years ago, from employee all my life, I said, no, I want to start working for myself. So those that came in, as a self-employed, and then the start-up ones, actually some of them, majority of them did miss out on them, because obviously they didn't, qualify for the criteria. So 14% were missing out on cash grants. So these are who have business premises. So among the small firms, okay, that pay business rates, they were close to 1 in 7, so 14% in the West Midlands say that their landlords charges them for rent and business rate in a single recurring bill. So they get charged for both in one bill, meaning that they risk missing out on cash grants, which is linked to the payments of rates. So at 15% is a UK-wide, okay, and 14% is then, so it's only 1% off the actual. So if you're looking at that statistic, that's a huge impact. People. I had a lot of phone calls at that time of what do I need to do. Because we're missing out. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do there in terms of we lobbied enough as we did, and still we thank government for what they did. We paid that in billions. Now, 8% applied for universal credit. They thought, right, we're not going to get down to the cash. Let's go down, to the universal credit route. Close to 1 in 10. So 8% in the West Midlands, which the percent stands, and then you got 8% as a UK wide. So the business owners that applied for universal credit with close to 1 in 3, 29% in the West Midlands having the applications rejected, and it's the same percentage number of rejection of 29% as a whole UK wide as well. Now we'll come on to the self-employed, because in our community we have
a huge number of
amount of self-employed income support scheme. So of these businesses owners that say that they're not using the self-employed income support scheme, the majority, 68% in the West Midlands is the percentage that stands, and also is the same percentage, 60% in the UK. Say this is because they are directors of limited companies.
So, there's a lot of data there, a lot of statistics that our listeners are going to
These were the main statistics that I know that are needed. Now whoever's listening thinking, gosh, it's huge. It is, but there is a positive side to it as well.
So I think it's worth just sort of reiterating for our listeners now, from August, employers will now start to pay national insurance and any sort of pension contributions. From September, the government's furlough scheme will be reduced to 70%. The employers will pay 10%, and those NI contributions and pension contributions, and that will then continue to decrease in October as well. So, and we know that the whole thing is going to end in October. But they have further announced some more support, whereby they said that for those people that are on furloughed, and if they are to come back and they're going to be employment until the start of 2021, January 2021, the government will pay, I think, a one-off payment of £1,000. And also for those people that are sort of taking on young apprenticeships, i.e. so between the age of 18 and 24, if I remember right, they will pay all of their wages for 6 months, which again I think is just hugely generous. Sorry, you were going to come in.
Again, we've gone from the businesses, and now that you've touched on another thing is on the apprenticeship that we're going to talk about as well. Is that what you've had is you've got all university graduates that have graduated this year, so they they've completed their 3, 4, 5, whatever their the length of their scholarship degrees that they had. You've got then students who live in colleges, don't want to go further on education, which is acceptable, don't want to go into the line of work, and then you've got apprenticeship line. And I say those businesses that are successful, just like myself, just like yourself and any others, We all had an opportunity given and we took it from, and I think this is the time to give them, because there's going to be huge significant youngsters that are going to go onto the apprenticeship scheme, and they need any help and resources as you can. So if a successful business, I'll say, is if they can compile with the government, and if the government put any grant or strategy in place, they are with apprenticeships, and I think they should take that and also have it in their businesses so they can take on people as well. Otherwise, we're gonna have a generation of youngsters who are gonna be out there. And but one thing is, the positive for me on this side is that everybody wants to work for themselves, which is the best thing. We're gonna have a rise of more self-employed.
It's great news.
Because a lot of people, got a lot of people who've got very creative skills, okay, in terms of branding, marketing, okay, they're not getting opportunities because they were looking at, working for bigger organizations. And then when we talk about our John Lewis's, the TM Lewis, and all of others, then you think to yourself, right, okay, that gives them that, right, I'm not going to go through that, I want to set up myself. But the great thing with the FSB is that what we do is that we work with the startups. So if a startup comes along and it doesn't know what it's doing, because we have organizations in place that we collaborate with, okay, and it's all work. So we say you get your like if it's somebody's manager, leadership skills, interpersonal skills. So there's a company that we work with in a different organization, so they collaborate. But for a startup business, we walk them through, through their journey. Of course. So you're not on your own, we're with you, because they're going to come across a lot of challenges. Some who are successful entrepreneurs have got that, is brilliant. Some haven't, because they haven't got no contact. They've got to build all of that. So yes, there's a scope for that. And if you go to like places like Bradford, further up north, again, limited, because they're close to cities where they go for big work, either Leeds. Or Manchester. A lot of them open up their own businesses. And when you look at them, all right, look at the front thing, they're doing well. Everyone goes through, challenges. So this enables people, to open up more, especially more on digital platforms. Is going to be it's here, it's the future, it's massive now.
I suppose the word innovation, adaptability, flexibility.
Yeah, innovation, implementation, all of these, now are coming. And I say to those businesses, the ones who are not doing so well, it's because you're not moving in with time. Old schools. I don't want to change that. You have to. Branding is a key. You have to get your brand out there now. Now, on the Facebook, a lot of people do, video contents, uploading pictures, and that's dying out now. But I know sooner or later, Facebook's going to start charging. Oh wow! For uploading your videos, because I think that's the way it's going to be. So I'm saying now that you got all the resources, use them. If you've got a product, and you've got a service, and you put really time and endless, because you're passionate about that, put it out. And build your audience, and that way, because when you know someone and you know someone, straight away that helps. So I say to those businesses, adopt to a change, because if you're not, you're going to be left behind, and when you are going to be left behind, no one's going to know you. So so that's the more key focus.
And I suppose it's very easy to sometimes forget that you may be have the best product, you may have the best setup, the best expert, but we can't forget how important customer focus is, and even at in this very core time, just to give you one small example, a friend of mine who owns a vet shop, funnily enough, he obviously heard the announcement by Boris Johnson. He sort of contacted me to see whether I had any sort of contacts or supplies of PPE, and what his thought was that if any of his customers, regular customers, comes into his shop without a face covering, he was willing to provide that. And that's just a small little token of kind gesture, really. So that he's putting in, and just shows that customer focus is still the king. If you get that right, everything else just sort of fits in as well.
In your line of work, you're in medical sales. Prior to the, you're a teacher. You're with corporate. You're with in higher end. So myself, okay, we've got the fantastic product at one end. But because of, if we're not going to deliver properly, people don't deal with, hierarchy companies. They're dealing with Muhammad Ali. They're dealing with Zafran Khan. And if we're not going to deliver that, then that predicts everything. So customer service is always, because when someone has exposure and they've dealt with, and they've had 100% satisfaction, word of mouth referral is always 99% stronger than someone just going out there looking for, fresh business, because you have to build that relationship. And goes up. But then, something that you touched on, about people having fantastic, product and services. You got all of that, but just by having a fantastic website,
Absolutely.
being on every digital, whether you're on Instagram,
Yeah.
WhatsApp, Facebook, whatever that's out there, even TikTok now as well. People are moving on to that, and I think there's some at first, silly videos, but they're getting massive audiences, viewers. So when you look at all of that, right, you then have to be serious, about your product and say, right, you got all of that, but you have to engage, and that means you still got to put your product out there, because you're not going to get customers. You're not going to get customers coming in and saying, "Oh, you have to go to people."
So, Brother Zafran, I mean, obviously we mentioned about unscrupulous businesses or whatever, but we know that people, have to spend some expenses to make sure their equipment and their customers are safe and provide, screen, PPE, and so on. And businesses have had to pick up the. Sorry, whoever just called, can you phone in again, please? Sorry, I just missed your call. So prices have inevitably gone up. Some obviously, people are saying they're taking advantage of us, where our, income has decreased. At the same time, our expenditure has gone up. Just what are your thoughts about trying to get that delicate balance of offsetting?
I mean, before the pandemic, and when the pandemic announced all these.
Sorry, Zafran. Hello, you're through to the studios of Radio Aap Awaaz. Myself and Brother Zafran are here. Please pose your question or comment, please.
Well, I'm really interested. Assalamu alaikum, by the way.
Walaikum salam.
I was really interested in what you guys were saying. But I work with disabled children, and I work with special needs children as well, and normal mainstream children. And I hear Brother Zafran was saying that there's opportunity for kids out there at the current moment in time. My question to Brother Zafran is, when there's things going on, how can you say that there's opportunities for kids?
The reason why I say that is, again, because I come from personal development world, and personal development is all about mindset, all about looking at positive. We look at, everybody wants to draw on the negatives. Yes, there's going to be some part of, in diversity, but we have some fantastic entrepreneurs in our West Midlands who are willing to help and shadow the youngsters that will be coming out. And collaborating, and I'm one of those. My mission is always built on, from the 28 years of working in the sales and the business industry, is that if you give somebody what they want, you're always going to get what you want. And this is that time. I've done my 28 years, worked for myself. Now is I want to give something back to the community. So all my exposure, everything that I've learned over the time, and with my network, I've got over 7,000 business network across the UK, because I've covered so I know, it's not what you know, it's who you know as well. So when we do have, youngsters coming in, anything that I can do, and the people that I go to, my peers, so that's what we'll, make it happen on that way.
Does that answer your question at all?
No, it does, some of it does, but how does that help the special needs children? How do you facilitate for them? How do you
Special needs, children, are the vulnerable, and they are important, because one thing is, just because they got a special diagnosis with something, and people, tend to, neglect, but we as a firm, as an organisation, when we have somebody at 19, 20-year-old who wants to set up something, we give up that startup, because one, we know they've got certain skills, and it's that skills, because they've had a setback from the minute they went to school, they always had a negativity, you can't do this, you can't do that. But when they get into the room with the right people, with the right mindset, we expose what they're good at, and we say, right, you're good at that, let's shine that. And then we have a lot of workshops, a lot of things in place. Aston, a business organisation which is based in Aston University, they do a lot of collaboration with good organisations in terms of getting youngsters through. And this is that time. Not only we're focusing with the businesses, because that's the core of everything, but we're working with the youngsters as well, and put them in right places. So again, any experience that I have and the right people that I know, and just say you came to me and said I got this type of children or youngsters, I will put them in the right place where I know they'll go, people that I know, and it's together everyone achieves more. That's what my team means.
Thank you very much for your call. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye now. Bye. And I suppose the good thing about yourself is that you won't turn anyone away. As far as you're concerned, everyone is equal, and you will do your best to give them the opportunity and the support in order for them to thrive as well. So, no, thank you for that question. It's very pertinent as well. So, and I suppose, you know, moving forward now, we mentioned about, you know, those businesses that, you know, are going to thrive and really succeed are the ones that adapt, understand the benefits of their product, you know, put customer focus at the heart of everything that they do, embrace digital technology, and really sort of make a unique sort of place for themselves within the market, and those are, you know, just sort of do what they've always been doing, especially in this uncertain time. Unfortunately, they will be falling by the wayside as well. So, you know, and you mentioned about, you know, the FSB. So just a bit more, I mean, do we have to be a paid member in order to join, or just...
For the FSB, all I'd say is that, you know, because I can leave some
please, that'd be great.
Information
Yes.
In the comments,
Yeah.
and the idea is obviously to get in touch with me. So
Okay.
once you get in touch with me, my first is that I want to understand your business
Sure.
model, your business perspective,
Yeah.
and then from there, obviously we can then take that. So connect with me. So, you know, Brother Ali will put all my details in there, how you can find me,
sure.
how you can connect with me, and we can obviously then take it from there.
Yeah, no, most definitely. So, I mean, we've got a lot of, you know, retail shops. I mean, you mentioned employment here. We've got a lot of retail shops, you know, on the likes of Almack Road, Ladywood, Soho Road, and these are your typical sort of, you know, customers that maybe barber shops, your fruit shops, your, you know, your clothes shop as well, for those sort of businesses, what do you think that, do they need to do anything different? Because I mean, from the outset, I don't see any change. But what do they, I mean, in your experience?
Things that they need to do, I mean, okay, if, you know, like the shops that you mentioned, these are our first generation built up. You grew up and you see some fantastic, you know, transition, you know, people. I know when we talk about Bosley Green, Smallheath, Stratford Road, we talk about Almack Road, straight away people, you're looking at, who wants to go there, you know, crime-wise. But one thing I will say is that we've got some fantastic people who lived in these areas, okay, going back to the positive, who have made themselves.
Yeah.
So you have to reach out to them. Just because you don't want to reach out to them, they can help us out. So there are some very good, successful entrepreneurs as a youngster you want to look up to. So that's the, you know, image that I have, and there's some fantastic ones. That's, you know, if I start naming, you know, I mean, you know, we're already, you know, moving into time now. So for those first generation businesses, they'll pass this business on to their second generation.
Sure.
Brilliance with the second generation is that they've gone through the mainstream, you know, education, adopted. What it comes down to is our ego. We don't want ego to learn. We're thinking, well, I've been businessman for the last 30, 40 years. I've seen some recessions. So this ain't no, I'm not going to change. But we have to do the personal development. If we can't do it ourselves, because you're not going to be good at everything, then outsource. Go to someone else. So if it's to do with branding, go with branding. And most of these shops are fantastic, but now they need to move on to online. It's a different digital platform, but you've got, you know, buyers there who want to do business. So if you just sit back and say, I want somebody to walk through, and if there's some of them say, well, who do I go to?
Yes.
Then get in touch with us, because we've got people who can do very, you know, digital marketing for you, put things in place, take your products. I even say, don't even do all the products. Take your main products that are very, very busy and upload those onto the website. So improve your website. If you need to have a reskill is always, and I think this pandemic has given people opportunity to look back and say, right, where am I not good at? And let's do those pros and cons and learn from there. Otherwise, we're not going to.
So, as always, when Mr. Badshah comes through the door, I know that it's almost the end of my show. I am going to squeeze one more question in, if I may. It's going to be two parts, if I can. First of all, we know that Asians are very entrepreneurial. They're very innovative. They've got a real, you know, track record of, you know, succeeding in businesses. I want you to just sort of, you know, give a bit of a message as to what the future looks like for the, you know, the Asian businesses as well moving forward. Secondly, is all about, you know, the PMA, positive mental attitude, for those, you know, that may be fearful of redundancies, of job losses. Last thing anyone wants to employ is someone who feels sorry for themselves, who doesn't exhort their skills and the experiences that they've gained from their previous employment. And irrespective, whether you're male, female, black, white, disabled child or not, I think it's that frame of mind and how important that is. So it's
very
two
important.
parts.
It's very, very important. I mean, first of all, I always say, don't worry about your product, don't worry about your shop, don't worry about that, worry about yourself. Because if you're not going to function properly, how are you going to deliver that message? If you're not going to function properly, how are you going to train your staff? Everybody needs motivation, and everybody needs a mentor, and everybody needs a guide. And so this is the time now, and to look at that. And you mentioned about Asians, being successful.
Yes.
The minute that our first generation landed into this country, and the things that, what they went through, some of us obviously haven't experienced.
We've got it on the plate, haven't we? We've got it
on the plate, and our third and fourth generation got even on the plate.
Yes.
But one thing we do have is that, when we came, we had to put a mark in front.
Yeah.
We've got that self-belief.
Absolutely.
When we believe in something that I'm going to do this, and somebody comes back, going back to the positive mentality, you're not going to do that. Or you're not going to, what you mean is not.
Yeah.
But when you're passionate enough from the heart, you can do. That's the mental. That's something that's in. That we breathe.
Yes.
So we've got to take that to a next level now. And when you look at your all, when you work, I might work. We look at our personal development because there's always room for improvement.
Yeah.
Again, I go back. We have very successful business people in our community.
Yes.
But we also have an ego factor as well. But break your ego at this time.
Yeah.
Improve on other things that you haven't, because the more you have, the better you have. But one thing I will say is that the ones who are going to embrace the change, who are going to develop, and they're going to get better, they will go forward and they will make it. And the ones who don't, they're going to be left behind. And this is that time in their families, in their friends, they have people who got skills. Sit with them and say, you know what, this is what you're good at, help me here, and they will.
Absolutely, that's real passion flowing from Brother Zafran to end the show. I'm going to ask you just to sort of sum up, if you can, the whole show really within about 30 seconds. If you want to give your contact number or email for those people that are listening, please feel free to do so.
If they go to the Facebook, if you type in Zafran Khan, on my display picture, you will say FSB in the back. There's the right Zafran Khan that you've come to. You can contact me through that way. You can also contact me, which I will leave my contact details in the comment box as well with my email. And it's not just about anything that you need to know about your business or whatever it is, whatever I can do to help.
Yeah.
But I always say, if I don't know the answer, but I know a man who will, and I'll put you to that right direction.
Great.
So,
and what more do you want? If you are a new business or someone who's fearful of making redundancies, or if you want to want that support to adapt and innovate within this post-COVID era, or we're still in that sort of dark stages yet, then FSB are certainly out there to sort of provide that support, and we've got a lot of love and a lot of support from the likes of Awaaz Khan, who's involved, Mr. I call him Mr. Chutney.
Mr. Chutney,
Mr.
really
Chutney,
yeah. He had events booked up. All for, people might think, it's easy for these. It's affected everybody. Somewhere down the line, it's affected all of us. So, but this is the time.
So the likes of Ninda, Zafran,
all of these. Fantastic job at Pathway to Grow. And again, reach out to them as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
If you don't reach, and I always say ask. Now, if you separate the word ask, A-S-K, it means activity, skill, and knowledge. So it's all about your activity level, how serious you are. Skill is learning that you'll learn, but the knowledge, you get knowledge from these great people.
Absolutely.
Sit with them.
Absolutely.
They will put you to the right direction.
Pearls of nuggets that they give you. So that was Brother Zafran from the FSB to enlighten us in terms of the fact that the economy is struggling, but despite that, there's real hope. First of all, invest in yourself, have that passion, have that education about your product or your service, and pass that on to your customers and your clientele. And the fact that now we are in a new era, embrace digital technology, give yourself a guide or a mentor to help you navigate and explore the the various bit of tsunami that we are going to, mini tsunami that we are going to still expect till the end of this year, to say the least. I hope you found that useful, and if there's any other topic or any other guests that you would recommend coming on the Community Wellbeing Show, then this is your show and we would love to give them the platform. Until next week, please look after yourselves and each other. Nice of you to join us once again. Bye now. Thank you, everyone. Hope you're well. Hope you enjoyed another mammoth show courtesy of Radio Aap ki Awaaz.